training video just dropped that nobody saw coming. Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and Paige Bueckers are all training together at USA Basketball's senior national team camp. The internet absolutely lost its mind. These three elite players united for the first time in an official capacity, and the footage is everywhere. This isn't just basketball training. This is a statement about the future of women's basketball. Fans are losing it, and for good reason. Are you more excited about seeing these three together, or worried about what this means for international competition? Comment below. The internet broke last week when footage surfaced of Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and Paige Bueckers training together at USA Basketball's senior national team camp. This isn't some random gym session. This is an official USA Basketball training camp happening at Duke University from December 12th through the 14th. The implications are massive, and the basketball community is still processing what this means for the future of women's basketball on the international stage. Let's start with understanding what's actually happening here. USA Basketball held a training camp specifically designed to evaluate players for the 2026 FIA Women's World Cup. The newly appointed managing director, Sue Bird, is tasked with building a team that will go for the 5th straight World Cup gold medal. That's not just a casual selection process, that's legacy hunting. That's trying to maintain one of the most dominant winning streaks in international sports history. The 18 participants also include former Olympians and World Cup gold medalist Chelsea Gray, Brittany Griner, Kelsey Plum, Jackie Young, and Kalia Copper, plus 3-on-3 Olympian De'Erica Hamby. Bree Jones, a member of the 2022 World Cup team, was also named to the training camp squad, while 2023 #1 draft pick. The roster for this camp reads like an all-star collection of current and former elite talent. Chelsea Gray is there, bringing her Olympic and World Cup gold medal experience. Brittany Griner, arguably the most dominant force in women's basketball globally, is in attendance. Kelsey Plum brings her championship pedigree. Jackie Young represents the new generation of WNBA talent. Kay Copper, a consistent performer at the highest levels, rounds out the veteran presence. The camp also includes 3x3 Olympian De'Erica Hamby and Banna Jones, who won gold at the 2022 World Cup. But here's where it gets really interesting. This camp is also featuring some of the most exciting young talent in basketball. Aaliyah Boston, the 2023 #1 overall WNBA draft pick, is expected in attendance. Cameron Britt, Lauren Betts, Sonia Centron, Kiki Arifon, Rakia Jackson, and Veronica Burton are making their USA Basketball senior national team camp debuts. Several of these players have already won gold medals with USA Basketball in junior competitions, which speaks to the pipeline of excellence that keeps feeding the senior program. Now, the three names that have everyone talking are Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and Paige Bueckers. These three players represent something unique in women's basketball. They're the generation that elevated the WNBA to mainstream attention. They're the players who made women's basketball must-watch television. They're the athletes who transformed viewing habits and brought new demographics into professional women's sports. The fact that they're training together at an official USA Basketball senior camp is genuinely historic. Caitlin Clark has become a global phenomenon. Her scoring ability, her court vision, her ability to perform in high-pressure moments, all of it has made her one of the most marketable athletes in sports right now. She's carried the WNBA into conversations it had never been part of before. Corporate America took notice. International basketball scouts took notice. Every basketball fan on the planet took notice. When Clark plays, people watch. Angel Reese has established herself as one of the premier two-way players in women's basketball. Her defense is suffocating. Her ability to operate in the post and finish around the rim is elite. Her competitive fire is unmatched. Reese brings an intensity to the court that's infectious. She makes everyone around her play harder. That's the kind of player who wins championships at every level she's played. Paige Bueckers represents versatility and skill at an incredibly high level. Her ability to play multiple positions, her range from three-point distance, her playmaking ability, all of it combines to make her one of the most complete players in the league. Bueckers can take over games when she needs to, but she's also comfortable playing a supporting role. That kind of flexibility is invaluable in international basketball, where rosters have to adapt to different opponents and playing styles. The fact that these three are now training together in an official USA basketball capacity changes everything about how international women's basketball will look over the next few years. When you combine their talent, their marketability, and their competitive drive, you're looking at something that could fundamentally reshape how people around the world view women's basketball. Now, we talked about the fact that Team USA, I believe it is in March, is going to play, I believe, in some qualifiers. That's probably when we're going to get to see Caitlin Clark play actual meaningful basketball again. But training camp is coming. The senior camp is coming. And it's coming. The training camp itself is being led by newly appointed national team head coach Cheryl Reeve, who's currently the head coach at Duke University. She's bringing WNBA assistant coaches into the fold, which speaks to how seriously USA basketball is taking this evaluation process. Natalia Tatsi, Nate Tibbetts, and Stephanie White are on the coaching staff. These aren't random selections. These are some of the most respected coaches in women's basketball, people who have proven they can develop talent and execute complex systems. The coaching setup indicates that USA basketball is approaching this World Cup cycle with the same intensity and professionalism that made the American women's program the gold standard for decades. The camp is designed to evaluate talent, build chemistry, teach systems, and identify which combination of players gives the United States the best chance to win in 2026. Here's the juicy part. The training camp will serve as an evaluation opportunity. As newly minted USA Women's National Team Managing Director Sue Bird is tasked with naming a team for 2026's FIBA World Cup in September of 2026, where the USA will go for its 5th straight World Cup gold medal. I don't know who will broadcast that, but if Caitlin Clark is on those teams, Bird isn't going to accept anything less than excellence in the selection and preparation process. The viral nature of the training video reveals something important about the current state of women's basketball. People want to see these players. People are curious about how they interact when they're training together. People recognize that these are among the best basketball players on the planet, and they want to witness that excellence up close. The fact that a training video generated significant social media buzz shows how hungry the basketball community is for content featuring elite female athletes. The timing of this camp is particularly interesting. The WNBA season ends in November, giving players a brief off-season before jumping into USA basketball commitments. The camp happens in mid-December, right during the holiday season, when casual sports fans often have more time to consume basketball content. Then, the real evaluation begins, with qualifiers happening in March. If Clark, Reese, and Bueckers are selected for those qualifiers, the viewership numbers could absolutely explode. The international basketball calendar is intense. There are qualifiers in March, there's the World Cup in September 2026, there are Olympic trials if the Paris Olympics lead into the next Olympic cycle. The schedule is packed, and the talent pool USA basketball has to choose from is deeper than it's been in recent memory. The challenge for Sue Bird and the coaching staff is narrowing down which players give the team the best chance to win on the biggest stages. What makes this particular moment special is the combination of veteran experience and young talent. USA basketball isn't just building for 2026, they're building for the long term. They're evaluating which young players can step into prominent roles as the veterans from this era eventually retire. Clark, Reese, and Bueckers represent the future foundation of women's international basketball. Their performance in this camp could determine not just 2026, but 2028 and beyond. The potential Team USA lineup that could feature Clark, Reese, and Bueckers alongside veterans like Griner, Gray, and Plum would be genuinely terrifying from an international perspective. Imagine trying to defend against that combination of talent, athleticism, and basketball IQ. You'd need an absolutely perfect game plan executed flawlessly. Even then, the margins for error would be razor thin. The competitive environment at Duke during this camp is going to be intense. These are all elite players who want to prove they deserve to represent their country on the world's biggest stages. Nobody wants to waste their time training if they don't believe they have a legitimate shot of making the final roster. The competition within practice will probably be more physically demanding than most regular season games. That's the standard at this level of international basketball. The coaching staff will be taking detailed notes on everything. Who commands respect in the gym? Who elevates the play of teammates? Who makes winning plays in high-pressure situations? Who handles setbacks and criticism productively? Who's in the best physical condition? Who demonstrates the kind of basketball IQ required to execute sophisticated offensive and defensive schemes? All of these factors go into the evaluation process. One interesting detail is that Paige Bueckers from USC is also making her debut at the senior camp. Watkins was the National Player of the Year last season, which indicates USA Basketball is casting a wide net to evaluate talent. Watkins is recovering from a March ACL tear, so she won't participate in on-court activities, but being invited to observe and learn about the program is significant. It shows USA Basketball is thinking about the development pipeline and who might contribute down the road. The media coverage of this training camp will be substantial if videos keep surfacing online. Fans are hungry for content, and organizations know how to feed that appetite. Behind-the-scenes footage, drill work, competitive segments, coaching moments, all of it becomes content that gets distributed across social media platforms. The viral nature of Clark, Reese, and Bueckers training together virtually guarantees that high-quality footage will make its way into the public domain. The implications for international women's basketball are enormous. Other countries are watching this unfold too. They're seeing who's in that Duke gym training together. They're trying to figure out what the United States is building. They're making adjustments to their own programs and player development strategies. The entire landscape of international women's basketball is shaped by what USA Basketball does, because frankly, the Americans have dominated for so long that other countries are always playing catch-up. But this is also a moment where the women's basketball community recognizes these athletes deserve the same level of investment, resources, and attention that men's basketball receives. The training camp at Duke with elite coaching staff, the evaluation process led by someone of Sue Bird's caliber, the security and privacy measures to protect player development, all of it demonstrates that women's basketball is being treated with the same professionalism as men's basketball at the international level. The narrative around this training video going viral is important too. It's not just about the basketball, it's about visibility and representation. When videos of elite female athletes training together go viral on social media, it normalizes women's sports as content worth consuming and sharing. It builds audience investment in their performances. It creates anticipation for future competitions. For young female basketball players watching these videos, it's inspirational. They see Caitlin Clark training with elite competition. They see Angel Reese pushing herself physically and mentally. They see Paige Bueckers executing complex basketball concepts. These young players see a roadmap for what their own development might look like if they commit to the sport at the highest level. The 2026 World Cup represents an opportunity for women's basketball to continue its momentum building. If Team USA wins and features Clark, Reese, and Bueckers prominently, the visibility and marketability of women's basketball reaches new heights. The tournament could attract record viewership numbers. Sponsorship opportunities multiply. The narrative around these players and their global impact expands significantly. Looking ahead to March's qualifying games, the basketball world will be waiting to see who actually gets selected and how these teams perform. Will Clark start? Will Reese get major minutes? Will Bueckers have a featured role? How will these players perform when they're elevated to the international stage? These questions will drive massive viewership if the games are broadcast properly and promoted effectively. The practical reality is that if NBC or another major broadcaster decides to air these qualifiers in the World Cup, and if Clark is featured prominently, the viewership numbers could shock the sports industry. Women's basketball has proven it can generate massive audiences when the marketing and promotion are done right. A World Cup featuring some of the most talented and marketable athletes in sports could legitimately compete with other major sporting events for audience attention. The viral training video represents a turning point moment. It's the moment when casual fans and serious basketball enthusiasts alike recognized that women's basketball at the elite level has evolved into something truly special. The talent level, the athleticism, the skill, the competitiveness, it all meets and exceeds what many people expected from women's basketball. These aren't athletes trying their best. These are elite professionals operating at championship levels. That USA basketball training camp at Duke could reshape women's basketball forever. Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and Paige Bueckers training together officially is just the beginning.